Good afternoon, students. All right, we're taking the last chapter of our uh, and these theories of personality. Theories of personality. A theory is defined as an approved speculation about reality which one does not know to be either true or false. It can also be defined as a set of propositions which help to explain a given phenomena. Each theory of personality can be examined, and there are some benefits and some qualities of a good personality theory. These qualities include the following. Number one, comprehensiveness. Any good theory on personality should cover the different aspects of the concept of personality. The second one is precision. A good theory of personality should be precise. That is, it should go straight to explaining what it is meant to explain. Number three, a good theory of personality should be simple and down to earth. And this is what we call simplicity. It should be simple and down to earth. What does that mean? It should easily be understood by those who come across to it. Number four, it should have the ability to generate prediction. A good theory of personality should be able to give some prediction about the conditions being examined, which should naturally lead to an empirical validity. And then number five, heuristic value. Every good theory of personality should stimulate and provoke further research. When we talk about heuristic value, we talk about having a research value. And then number F, and finally, it should be applicable to a cultural setting. A theory of personality that is not related to any cultural background is not a good one and cannot operate. It should be applicable to the culture and situation in which it is to operate. Now, having talked about the qualities of a good theory of personality, it is necessary to inform you that the theories of personality can be classified into four. The first one is what we call psychoanalytic theory, and then new psychoanalytic theories. Number two is what we call type theories. Number three is called trait theories. And number four is humanistic theories. All the theories of personality can be grouped into these four. Now, the first one we're going to look at is psychoanalytic theory of personality. This theory is associated with Sigmund Freud. He was born on May 6, 1856 in Czechoslovakia. Now, he spent most of his time in Vienna. That's why most people think that he's from Vienna. Remember that he's from Czechoslovakia, or simply Moravia. And then Sigmund Freud look at in his theory, try to propose that personality is made up of three combatant or structural components. This is the id, the ego, and the superego. Id is spelled ID, ego is spelled EGO, and superego is spelled SUPEREGO, superego. Now, the id is biological in nature. It's always looking for pleasure at all costs. That is why it is called the pleasure principle. It is animalistic, it is irrational, and it is amoral. Now, the second one is the ego. Remember that everybody is born with the id. The ego and the superego develops from the id. The ego, on the other hand, operates the reality principle. It is the problem-solving part of personality. They try to reconcile the id with the reality on ground. The third one is the superego, which is the third structure. Remember that the superego again developed from the ego. It is the repository of moral standards representing our laws and customs. Now, most times the ego tries to reconcile the id and the superego, and when it fails to do this, the individual will experience what we call distress or anxiety. Now, in order to reconcile the id and the superego, it adopts the method called defense mechanism in order to handle the situation. According to Sigmund Freud again, he identified 3 levels of consciousness. These are conscious, preconscious, and unconscious. These 3 levels, individuals operates there. In order to fully develop this theory, he talked about an individual passing through several stages, what he calls psychosocial stages, which include the oral stage, the anal stage, the phallic stage. These stages are identified with different parts of the body. The oral stage is identified with the mouth, the sensitive parts of the body. Now the anal stage is associated with the anus, and then the phallic stage is associated with the genitals. And then he sets stages. He sets age limits to each of them. Children at the oral stage is between 0 to 1 year, while children at the anal stage is between 1 to 3 years. Children at the phallic stage is between 3 to 5 years. And then children at latency stage is between 5 years up to puberty. And then heterosexual stage starts at adolescence, between 12 to 18 years. It's important to explain that each of these stages, the characteristics of human beings differs. At the oral stage, that's the stage that children, anything that enters the hand, they will put in their mouth. Then at the anal stage is the stage that children like to poo everywhere. They derive pleasure from it. During the phallic stage, the child start to have amorous interest, especially in the mother. If it's a male child, we have amorous interest in the mother. If it's a girl child, we have amorous interest in the father. You can see that male children at that stage are usually attracted to their mother, while the female children are attracted to their father. This is because of these events that have been explained here. Now, at the phallic stage, the child will wish, if you ask the child at the age of 3 to 5, who's your wife, will point at the mother, and they wish that the father will just allow him, but at the same time will have the feeling that he will be punished, what we call the Oedipus complex in male children, while in female children it's called the Electra complex, having amorous interest in their father, while at the same time being afraid that they will be punished by their mothers. Now, that is the psychoanalytic theory of personality. Remember that the individual that is led by the id will be fighting, will be disobedient, will be stubborn, will not like to be controlled or even corrected. The child at the level of ego will try to be realistic in his demand. If he's asking for money, we will want to find out whether parents have that money first before they can give, otherwise. But children that are led by superego are always obedient. These are children that have less problem with parents. Now, there are some of Sigmund Freud's students. Remember, he was born at Czechoslovakia. There are some of his students that disagreed with him. One of them was Adler, and then tried to reconstruct the psychoanalytic theory to include the influence of society. Because from the point of view of Sigmund Freud, biological determinism is what influences personality. But Adler tried to look at some of the influences of social variables. Another student of Sigmund Freud also was Erik Erikson, who later developed the ego psychology. He deviated from Sigmund Freud, although he was a student. He said human action cannot be mechanistic, but that there are also some social factors that can play a role in human activity. And so he proposed a theory called Psychosocial Theory. In that theory, he has 8 stages of human life. Each stage is bipolar in nature. What we mean by bipolar is that it has 2 extremes. If one does not develop one particular behavior, it's sure to develop another behavior. Okay? The first one is what we call oral sensory stage at infancy. And at that time, the child develops trust or mistrust. If a child is born into a family where the child is highly taken care of, that child is likely to develop mistrust. But if a child is born into a family where it's loved and parents provide all the needs of that child, the child is going to develop trust. The second one is muscular anal stage. This is between 2 years and above. Between 2 years and 3 years, the child develops autonomy versus shame. This is the period children like to play on sand. If an adult now go to scatter it and say that what they are doing is meaningless, instead of autonomy, they will develop shame. The third one is locomotor genital stage, between 3 to 5 years. The individual develop initiative versus guilt. If children are doing something, maybe by mistake, they were having a good time, thinking that they were introducing something, being initiative, and maybe a mother just asked a child to bring plates, or the child saw that the mother needed plate to put something, and in the process, while bringing in the plate got broken, maybe hit on the floor, and then the boy is punished. Instead of developing initiative, that child will develop guilt. Next time, even if the parents need water, the child will be afraid that if you handle the glass of water, you may also break it. That will result to other punishment. Now, the first stage is what we call latency. That's between 6 to 12 years. This is the time children are almost finishing primary school. The child develops industry or inferiority. What does that mean? A child that is doing well at this stage will develop industry, hard work. But a child that is hardly doing well will develop inferiority complex. The feeling that people think that is written off, it cannot be of any good use. Now, another stage is puberty and adolescence, between 13 to 18 years. That's identity versus role confusion. This period is the period that children are often confused in career choice, in what they want to be. You can see some male children plaiting their hair like women, meaning that they are even confused. They don't know what they want to be. But those two that are focused will develop identity. If you ask such children at the age of 18, what do you want to be? They are already in the university. what are you doing here? The child will be able to explain, this is what I'm doing here. But a child that is experiencing role confusion, you ask the child, what are you doing in the university, in year 1 or year 2? You say, well, it's my parents that brought me here, meaning that that child does not even know what he's doing there. Now, the next one is early adulthood, from 19 to 21 years. At the age of 21, a child would have finished secondary university. At that age, a child would have finished university and maybe is looking for somebody to be intimate with. Maybe this is the time of courtship, okay, preparing for family life, okay. If the child gets a reliable, dependable partner, he will develop intimacy. Otherwise, the child will develop isolation. The next stage, which is the 7th stage, is young and middle adulthood, between 22 to 50 years. This is a peak of individual's life. At this time, people are creative, looking for what to do to stabilize, to make life meaningful. And then somebody that did not learn anything at all will stagnate, while somebody that have gone to school or perhaps learn work and is using it to earn a living is said to be creative. And then the last stage is mature adulthood, which is between 50 years and above. 50 years and above. At that stage, integrity versus despair. Integrity, in that the person has finished school or learned work, is doing well, is married, has children, has built a house, and is doing well. And the person look back and say, well, I've made some tremendous achievement in life. But the other person, assuming he was just born and is living in still the family home, not married at the age of 50, and not having any good work, did not even learn handwork, you will now see that the person will develop despair. That's the feeling that, oh, life has been wicked. The person couldn't learn anything and has continued life like that. These are psychoanalytic theory developed by Sigmund Freud. Remember, Sigmund Freud started it with psychoanalytic theory, and then Adler made some useful contribution to it in what we call Adler's new psychoanalytic theory, while Erik Erikson, one of the students of Sigmund Freud, developed psychoanalytic ego psychology. Apart from these theories, there are also other theories of personality. The first one, what we call type theories. Type theories. These are theories that is related to part of the body or individual's body build. One of it was Hippocrates' temperament type theory. Hippocrates' temperament type theory. This theory was developed by Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, at 5th century BC. Remember that this theory is the oldest theory of personality. Please note that Hippocrates' temperament type theory is the oldest theory of personality. Hippocrates classified people into 4 based on dominance of certain body fluids or hormones. What's called fluids here is like these days we call it glands in the body, certain glands in the body. Okay, according to Hippocrates, people can be classified into 4 based on their temperaments: sanguine, choleric, phlegmatic, and melancholic. Now, the sanguine person has excess blood. The choleric person is also the phlegmatic person have excess phlegm in the body, while the melancholic person have always sad. Okay. Now let's put it in proper perspective. He explained that the sanguine person has excess blood, choleric person have excess yellow bile, Phlegmatic person have excess phlegm. What do we call phlegm? Those catarrh and all that comes from the body is called phlegm. Such people are usually dull. Now, the melancholic person has excess black bile. Remember that these temperaments are related to certain glands in the body. Please don't mistake it again. Let me take it again. According to Hippocrates, sanguine person have excess blood, choleric person have excess yellow bile, phlegmatic person have dominance of phlegm in the body, while melancholic person have excess of black bile. Now, apart from Hippocrates' temperamental type theory, is constitutional type theory. The constitutional type theory was developed by Ernst Kretschmer, a German psychiatrist, in 1925. Please note that Hippocrates' theory is the oldest theory. But if you look at the question and the Hippocrates temperamental type theory is not there, the second oldest theory of personality is Ernst Kretschmer's constitutional type theory. It was developed in 1925. It was developed in 1925. According to Ernst Kretschmer, he classified people into four: pycnic, asthenic, athletic, and duplastic. Pycnic, asthenic, athletic, and duplastic. The pycnic person is stoicky, full-chested, with short limbs. Is usually popular, sociable person, very humorous and funny, crack jokes. It's easygoing. People like such people. Okay, that's a pycnic person. Stoicky, full-chested, with short limbs, meaning that it's not expected to be very tall. Usually very popular with his jokes and a sociable person. The second group category is asthenic person. Very, very tall and thin with narrow trunks. You will almost ask whether the person eats, but he's very tall. If the wind is blowing, you'll be praying that it should not fall. Very lanky person. Such people are usually introverted, very shy, very cold, very calculating human being. They are given to intellectual activities. Now, the third category is athletic person, muscularly built and very strong. These are people that do well in athletic, in sports, and in games. Now, the fourth category is duplastic. This refers to people that does not fall into any of the first three categories. They are not pycnic, they are not asthenic, and they are not athletic. Such people are said to be duplastic. Now, I'll talk about Hippocratic temperamental type theory and then Kretschmer's constitutional type theory. The next theory is called somatotype theory. Somatotype theory. It was developed by an American surgeon, an American medical doctor called H.W. Sheldon. He classified people based on their body build. This theory was developed in 1954 according to individual's body build. The first one here is endomorphy. Such people are soft, round, with short body build, characterized by being sociable, extroverted, and cheerful. And because of that, they are not usually very tall. They are sociable. They are called visceratonia. Visceratonia. That's endomorphic persons. The second one is mesomorphy. People who are muscular, tough body. They are very energetic. They are extroverted. They are adventurous and risk-taking. These are people that do well in sports. Because of that, they are called somatotonia. Somatotonia. Remember, somatotonia is related to mesomorphy. Visceratonia is related to endomorphy. The third group is what we call ectomorphy. They are slim, tall, with frail body. They are fearful, they are introverted and restrained. they keep to themselves. They are called cerebrotonia because they usually do well in intellectual activities. Another theory is the theory by Carl Jung. This theory is called Jung's type theory. Carl Jung was a Swiss psychiatrist, meaning he's from Switzerland, a psychiatrist from Switzerland. According to Carl Jung, people can be categorized into two, extroverts and introverts. Extroverts are people whose chief interest is in other people and the events around them. They are likely to be very sociable and tend to choose occupations that permit them to deal directly with people. They are people friendly. They love people. They make sure that people around them are comfortable. Okay? The second category are introverts. These are people that tend to be withdrawn to themselves, particularly in times of emotional stress and conflicts. They are shy and prefer to work alone, thereby avoiding every form of socialization. Introverts take special interest in themselves. They don't like to relate with others. Now, much more later, psychologists now discover that there are people who are neither introverts nor extroverts. These people are now called ambiverts. Ambiverts are people who are neither introverts nor extroverts. Now, apart from the type theories, there is also what we call trait theories. A good example of the trait theory is the theory called Gordon-Allport's trait theory. Gordon-Allport's trait theory. Gordon-Allport was an American psychologist. He was an American psychologist. According to him, personality may be classified into three, or individuals may be classified into three based on the traits they possess. Then this trait is called, the first one is called cardinal traits. This refers to behaviors that is so dominant in an individual that he is identified with it. There are some people that smiles all the time, meaning that the cardinal trait in that person is smiling, joy, happiness. And so if you want to describe such a person, say that man, that lady, they normally smile. That's cardinal traits. That joy, that smiling has been associated with that person. And then there is also central traits. These refer to traits that are in a person, but they are not as dominant as a cardinal trait. The trait is in that person, but comes out once in a while. And then the last one is the secondary traits. These are traits that are peripheral in nature, meaning that they occur once in every blue moon. Okay? Quickly also, there is what we call the Big Five personality trait theory. This Big Five personality trait theory was originally associated with Raymond Cattell in 1940s, but it was popularized by other psychologists, especially Robert McCrae and Paul Costa. They popularized the idea of the Big Five personality traits. These Big Five personality traits classify people into five based on the traits they possess. Openness, a short form of it is ocean. Ocean, O-C-E-A-N, ocean. O for openness to experience. C, conscientiousness. E, extroversion. A, agreeableness. And N, neuroticism. Now, openness to experience refers to people who are original, independent, creative, and daring. They are interested in many things. That's somebody that is openness to experience, want to learn more. They are said to be open to experience. And then the second one is conscientiousness. These are people who are careful, reliable, they're hardworking, and well organized. They have tendency to be orderly and dutiful, showing self-discipline. Now, people who score low on conscientiousness, you discover will not be very dependable, they will not be goal-oriented, and they will have tendency toward criminal behavior. Another one is extraversion. These traits describe people who are sociable, talkative, fun-loving, and affectionate. They treat people warmly. People who are low on this trait are reserved, shy, less involved in social situations and activities, and are often quiet. Now, the fourth one is agreeableness. This trait describes people who are good-natured, soft-hearted, trusting, and cautious. People with the trait tend to trust others more, are straightforward, are modest, are cooperative. Now, people who score low on agreeableness are likely to be unfriendly, suspicious, uncooperative, self-centered, and manipulative. The last one is neuroticism. This neuroticism is also called emotional instability. It describes people who tend to be worried, insecure, nervous, people who get angry easily, and express hostility. Such people are usually depressed. Okay? Now, these are the five personality factor, five big personality trait theory. I said the short form of it is OCEAN. O for openness to experience, C conscientiousness, E extraversion, A agreeableness, and N neuroticism. Now we'll quickly run through the humanistic theories. These are theories that hold that human nature is basically good, and at the core of personality is the desire to perform one's skills and find peace and happiness. These theories, humanistic theory, is associated with Carl Rogers and Abraham Maslow. Now, Carl Rogers himself developed what we call the self theory. The self theory is an offshoot of humanistic theory. It has the following basic personality tenets. Okay, it's based on the following personality principles. Number one, unconditional positive regard, meaning that a psychologist, a therapist must accept people the way they are and believe that they are basically good, and must show belief in the client. Another one is non-judgmental attitude. This means that a therapist is not supposed to merely judge the attitude of the client. The fourth one is disclosure, meaning that from an individual personal information, one is likely to get meaning into the life of that person. Most times what people tell us about themselves is an indication of who they are. Sometimes they may tell us something that is not true, and that will lead to reflection, what we call reflection. This is the key to self-understanding. Reflection simply means, going through what one has said in order to accomplish two things. Number one, show that what the person is saying is true and you are ready to pay attention to it. And then secondly, to allow the client say it in a different way, meaning that if you have asked somebody a question, you ask him again another question to see whether he will confirm what he has said before. Now, another theorist under the humanistic theory is Abraham Maslow. Abraham Maslow himself developed the self-actualization theory. The self-actualization theory. This theory is in form of a pyramid. Now, if you look at a pyramid, the bottom is usually very broad, and then as you go, it narrows. That's a pyramid. He said at the base, according to Abraham Maslow, at the base are individuals that have what we call psychological needs. Psychological needs. These are needs for survival, such as water, air, food, sleep. Most people are like that. In Nigeria, where most people are poor, everybody is just looking for water, air, food, and sleep. It is only when somebody have outgrown these psychological needs that the person can graduate to the second level, which is security needs. These security needs are important for survival, but they are not as demanding as the physiological needs. Examples of security needs include desire for steady employment, health insurance, safe neighborhood, and shelter from environment. Now, remember that is somebody that have food in abundance, somebody that can feed himself and perhaps feed members of his family. That will talk about building house. Food is a physiological need, while house is a security need. Another category of needs is what we call social needs. These are needs that have to do with belonging to people, that have to do with love, show and receive affection from others, to be in good relationship with others. That's social needs. To interrelate with others, sometimes maybe in form of religious group or be in a social community, maybe club, maybe in a church, maybe in a market, and so forth. And those are social needs, just to relate with others and receive affection from them. The fourth one is what we call self-esteem needs. Self-esteem needs. One must be able to outgrow social needs in order to rise to esteem needs, self-esteem needs. Self-esteem needs are the next in the hierarchy, and they include the need for personal worth, social recognition, and accomplishment based on what one has achieved in life. A medical doctor, for instance, will feel some measure of personal worth and social recognition. If you come out in the public places, oh, that's a medical doctor, everybody will recognize you. Oh, that's a pilot, everybody will show recognition, oh, and respect him. Oh, that's an engineer. Oh, people will also have, oh, that is an advertisement guru, a personnel guru, people will respect. Oh, that's a teacher. Oh, that's good. People will recognize. Okay? Now, the last category of need is what we call self-actualization need. This need that push people into further success. It is the highest level in the hierarchy of need. This type of need depends on one's achievement. For instance, in most communities, based on what the person has achieved, they cannot give the person a chieftaincy title. Based on what the person has contributed to that society. It's not like these days that they just look at somebody that is rich without knowing the source of his wealth. In those days, in our communities, it's based on what one has achieved. Oh, he's a great yam farmer. Oh, he's a great wrestler. Something that has impacted positively on society. And then the person is accorded respect and given a chieftaincy title. Even these days, one can aspire to be the president. One can aspire to be a governor. But people will accept that you occupy those positions based on what you have done to impact positively in their lives. Although these days, politics is not even like that, where they put people to hijack bosses and make themselves leaders. But originally, the idea was that before you get to that level of self-actualization, you look back and see what impact you have made to the society and environment where you have lived, and the people, are happy with your achievement. Now, there are some characteristics of self-actualizers, those that have reached the level of self-actualization, they have some characteristics. Number one is self-acceptance and democratic worldview. They treat other people in the same way, regardless of background, regardless of current status, or regardless of socioeconomic and cultural factors. They are people-oriented. They take self-actualizers take special interest in ensuring that the people living around live a good life. Number two, they are realistic. Self-actualized people have a sense of realism. Instead of being fearful of things that are different or unknown, the self-actualized individuals are able to view things rationally. They know what is realistic and what is not realistic. They are problem-solving centered. They like to solve problems where it exists in the society where they live in order to improve on the life of others, not to solve problems for themselves, but to ensure that others benefit from it. They also have what we call peak experiences, meaning that they feel that the sky is not even their limit. There is opportunity for more. They are driven by the desire to achieve more. The sky is not their limit, but their stepping stone. They continue to achieve more and more and more because of who they are. They set goals and they work towards it. It will interest you that self-actualizers also have the attribute of autonomy. This means that they don't conform to people's ideas of happiness or contentment. No, not at all. Some people, they feel that they have arrived by going to a bar, buy an alcoholic drink, call others to come and drink. No, it's not the kind of autonomy for self-actualizers. The kind of happiness, what makes them happy is that others are happy positively, in a positive way. Number 6, they always want their privacy to be maintained. They want their privacy to be maintained. Most times, they enjoy staying on their own. They don't easily mix up with others. Not that they don't love others, but they have time for self-reflection. They reflect, they examine themselves. It is during that time that they set goals. What do I need to achieve? How do I go about it? And that's the difference between self-achievers and those that are not achieving. Those that are not achieving can hardly reflect. In the morning, they are all over roaming around in the neighborhood. Where do you want to go? They don't know. What do you want to do? They don't know. But self-achievers are able to stay on their own, examine their goals, know the ones that they are achieving, and know the ones they are not achieving, and the reason why it is difficult, and how they can be able to overcome and achieve it. Self-achievers have good sense of humor. It will interest you. They are usually humorous. They enjoy humor in situations and laugh. They laugh heartily. That does not mean that they ridicule or make fun at others. No, they are happy. When they mix up with people, they like to crack joke and they enjoy the presence of others. Another one is what we call spontaneity. Spontaneity is the idea that they follow general accepted social expectation. They do not feel confined by norms in their thoughts or behavior. For instance, self-achievers will go out of their way to establish something meaningful. Not necessarily, oh, this is how their family behave. No, they want to single themselves out to ensure that they gain something. They gain something. And then they enjoy the journey of life. They enjoy seeing their goal come to fruition. They enjoy achieving their goal. For instance, self-achievers who decide to make A in all their courses this semester, they work towards it and ensure that they realize it. Why? Because they know that having a good certificate is a way to liberate themselves from ignorance, from poverty, and they're able to assert themselves wherever they go with the certificate that they have. Thank you, and God bless you. See you very soon. I will stop it.